How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bodacious Rant. You're joined by your ever so awesome host, Burn and Rye. Like I said, we are now in December. We're starting to say cheers to 2023 as we enter the new year. And this time of season. Usually, it's like things kind of slow down, but we also do get some. Like, we'll usually get like award movies, so they're very hit and miss. Like, some are super artsy, but they'll still get nominated because production value, maybe the acting's good, what have you, you know. Like Napoleon, I think, is gonna be one of those movies. Well, it wasn't that great. I know we didn't do a review on it, you know, but we Bern and I both had some stuff going on last week.
Wait for home release on that one. I think we could both agree.
If we didn't review it, if we didn't review that one, just. It wasn't that good. I'm sorry. I love Ridley Scott and what he's done, and Joaquin Phoenix, but that movie was just it's kind of a snooze fest. Anyways, so what we're talking about today is a movie that was very surprisingly, amazingly good. Something I did not expect to see, like especially this time of year. And if you haven't guessed it already, it is Godzilla Minus One, which is just. Oh my god, I think the best creature feature we've had in years. Like that's, and I know that may be an overstatement for a lot of you guys, but to me it's the truth because this was so good. This is a non-spoiler review because it did just drop in theaters and it's kind of available everywhere for the most part. I don't think it's super limited here, so feel free to give us a like, ring the bell, and subscribe, and click that subscribe button. We really appreciate you and want to keep the base growing. So, love you guys. Anyways, so this is a great Godzilla movie because it kind of harkens back to its origins of post-World War II Japan, just rebuilding itself after probably one of Japan's biggest wars ever. And they're just kind of reeling from the loss and stuff like that. But, they just keep getting kicked down because not only did they have to worry about cleaning up from Japan from the war and the air raids and all that stuff, they had to deal with literally a walking nuclear bomb. That is Godzilla. And this is, oh man, I flippin' loved it. This is the first time Godzilla made me feel like my heart was pumping when he came onto the screen because there were some genuine parts I was like, oh my god, these people are not going to live, and it is just horrifying. This is almost borderline horror movie, thriller. But Bern, what did you think of this movie?
I just got to say, like, one of the biggest surprises of the year by far. Like coming into it, it was kind of one of those, I don't think we got a trailer up until like maybe a month or two ago. So it was something that it wasn't like, wasn't like, on my radar at all. But, when I saw that trailer, I believe you shared it with me. I thought, okay, this looks like it's going to be something very interesting because it is, like you said, a throwback to like the original conception of what Godzilla was, the first early Toho movies, where, it was very much a creature feature, but what, sort of took precedent was the character stories and the allegory for Godzilla being, a nuclear destructive force. It's like, it's very much in that vein. So it's not one of those movies that we've gotten recently with Godzilla where it's more of like an action blockbuster, summer movie where you go in, you have fun, you see a bunch of really cool monster battles and, call it a day. This is something a little bit more serious. This is very much a drama first, I feel like, where a lot of the movie is just centered around characters and, characters, as you mentioned, in this period of time, really reeling from a lot of the loss that they suffered, post World War II, trying to rebuild, get their lives back. And then you throw in this wrench and it's just, insanity all over again. So it's just really, really interesting character work and a really good examination on sort of Japan and life there and very critical of the governments of the time. So something that I really appreciated that we got to see, like, dig into, not only what does it look like visually, but what it does, to society and stuff. What would something like a Godzilla do to all the players involved and just how that affects people in their daily lives and, who do they go to trust, especially around this time. So yeah, just a lot of really good thematic elements in this movie that really caught me off guard because I thought, okay, we're just gonna have a really cool Japanese version of a Godzilla movie, and what I got was so much more.
Yeah, which is again, because when Godzilla was reintroduced to the US back in like 2014, 2013, no, 2014. I love that movie. Gareth Edwards I think did a great job. I love the American version of it. And while King of the Monsters is hit and miss, Godzilla versus Kong was great, and now we're getting the new Empire coming out this next year. It's just one of those things compared to this movie that is garbage now. And even they since the Japanese were very critical of the U.S. Godzilla, they reintroduced Godzilla in 2016 called Shin Godzilla. There's a very similar concept, but that one was more of like Godzilla was definitely a freak of nature and just kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's a little bit difficult. Definitely a different movie than this one. This one is just the best Godzilla movie I think I've ever seen. Because, like Byrne said, the character work in this, the acting, it actually matters and it makes you feel stuff. Because you really get to see, like, especially with some of the characters and their trajectories, essentially what their character growth, you really see some emotional moments in this, and people literally fighting their demons, both physical in the form of Godzilla, but also dealing with the war. And I like that it was kind of self-commentating on what Japan did to itself during World War II, because while they were an aggressor, this movie kind of makes you forget about that, but in a good way. Not like, oh, the U.S. were they didn't spin as like the U.S. were monsters, this and that. So that I can like kind of appreciate. It was just a very like almost unbiased, but again, it's just the way it did itself was just great. And Godzilla, the redesign, actually not redesign, but almost like the tweaks to the original design mixed with Shin Godzilla and then mixed with the classic and even hints of the US version. But this is a Godzilla I've never seen before. There were some moments in this I was like, what did I just witness right now? He's never done that before. So having said all that, I'm going to give this movie a hard 5 out of 5. Such a surprise for the year, and I highly recommend everyone go see this like now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's one that, like you mentioned, it has a pretty wide release for it being, a Japanese foreign film in the States. So, absolutely, if people are wanting to see something great, to start off the month of December, they can't go wrong with this one. I mean, the director Takashi Yamazaki, definitely you can tell this was he wrote and directed this, so you can tell this is something that he was very much looking forward to like a story he was very much looking forward to tell, with this character, and he had something to say, and like you mentioned, that's very apparent from a lot of the human element that we got in this movie, and that's something that has been lacking in a lot of the recent creature features, especially these last few legendary monster movies that we got. We're kind of like, okay, the monsters themselves are cool, but the human stories are very, like, they're uninteresting at best and just awful at worst. And here I think it's one of those things where I'm like, I could have not had Godzilla in this movie and I still would have had a great movie. That's how good the human characters and their stories were. And definitely one of those things where you come to see the big spectacle, but you stay for the great writing and the great character work. And that's not to say that the creature stuff isn't great, because it's awesome here. The budget was reportedly like $15 million, and it's all on screen. It puts like a lot of recent $200 million blockbuster movies to shame, because it just looks really, really damn good. And I can't sing this movie's praises enough. This has set for me the new standard of what we should expect from these big monster movies. And it might be a high bar, but I think that anyone coming into making a Godzilla movie or even the King Kong movie or whatever we're getting now from the monster universe, they should definitely look at this and take some notes, because this is it now. This is the pinnacle. And yeah, man, for me, I can't give it anything less than a 5 out of 5 as well. One of my favorite movies of the year, a huge surprise, and like I mentioned, is the new standard for Godzilla movies and monster movies as a whole.
Well, Byrne, I'm glad we agree on another great movie, because, yeah, I 1,000%, I do agree with you. This is definitely the standard for what, I mean, at least not only Godzilla, what that means to be, but for anyone who's trying to do like a whole like monster movie, whether it's something like Godzilla or just maybe another Pacific Rim kind of like movie, like kaiju movie. It's like, yeah, you gotta start having like good character stuff. Like you gotta know how to work it in somehow. Or it's like, okay, well then make it purely on good monsters. I think this one, Prey, and shoot, I can't think of it, but Prey was another movie that came to mind after watching this, where I'm like, this is what you set the standard for with human characters, because Predator was another franchise that was just failing with human characters, and the Predators were the best part, which it kind of sucks. So yeah, like I said, we loved it. We both saw it in Prime, which I think was great. So definitely recommend the IMAX or Dolby if you can. If not, $5 Tuesday is the way to go. I know there's a lot of spending for the holiday season right now, so just bear with us. But yeah, for those of you who were able to catch it this last weekend, let us know what you thought. Did you love it as much as we did? Was it like every other Godzilla movie you've seen? Love to know your thoughts to keep that conversation going. But until next time, everyone, we got The Boy and the Heron coming out this upcoming week, which is going to be a crazy big anime. A lot of great American actors for the dub version. So looking forward to that. But until next time, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.